Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news on a very big day, a very big match day for Manchester United this morning actually. Not this morning, we're not playing this morning, that would be hideous. We're playing this afternoon in the FA Cup against Leicester. There are rumours about what that team could be. There's talk of maybe Diallo starting and Paul Pogba starting, and I'm sure David De Gea and Eric Bailly will start, which I think makes us have a better chance against certainly Eric Bailly over Lindelof. But we're going to start off with the latest news and transfer news. Of course, on a Sunday morning, as I've said before, we do tend to get traditionally different types of stories. This goes back to probably 20, 30 years ago when I was a lad and used to get News of the World and the Sunday People, and they're their own outlets basically. So you do get like your own sort of your own sort of sensationalist stories that they create. So I hope everyone's having a good morning this morning. Big game. We have got the watch along coming up for you this afternoon as well. Manchester United against Leicester at Leicester in the FA Cup quarter final. But let's start off with a couple of stories that may be of interest to you. I think the first one, I mean, look, I will say straight away, because I don't, you will get people out there saying, oh my God, clickbait, he's talking about the Sun. It's a news story. It's a news show on the United Stand, and you will get my opinion on that news. So there's a story this morning in the Sun that Manchester United are looking at Neto for £50 million as an alternative to Jadon Sancho. Now, I'm sure everybody knows a lot about Neto from Wolves, having a very good season. I think... look, we've all seen Neto play, and I think he would be a very welcome addition to Manchester United. I think he's only just turned 21, and he's got, he's not a speed merchant, but he's quick. He's very, very technically good. Can create goals, and I think when you're looking at Manchester United at the moment, and I know people will say, well, he plays more off the left than he plays off the right, but I mean, I think he can play off the right. I think he can play off the left. The point I would say about Neto is that he's the sort of player that you bring him into your team, he's going to make chances for your striker. He's going to have a good chemistry with people like Bruno and hopefully Pogba. So he's a footballer, Neto. He's a technically very good footballer. And he would be a very good signing for Manchester United. There's no two ways about that. He reminds me, I'd say if he reminds me of anybody, I don't know about you, but he reminds me of sort of a Pulisic. And Thomas says we've got Ahmad, but mate, Ahmad's 18. Ahmad's been here for 3 months. Ahmad is going to be gradually used, isn't he? I don't think Ahmad. If Ahmad's going to be our answer to the wing problems, then great. But I don't know. I think, do you believe Solskjaer's going to go with Ahmad next season, or do you think he's going to go with Dan James? So if we can buy a right winger this season, this summer I would take it. Would I take someone like Neto from Wolves? Well, look, you know what? I'd take Neto from Wolves. I'd take Ruben Neves from Wolves. I'd probably take Raul Jimenez when he's back fit from Wolves as well. There's a few players that I quite like from Wolves, to be fair. But we don't seem to be ever seriously approaching Wolves, and I don't know why. I don't know whether Wolves is a closed book to Manchester United, because a lot of teams in the Premier League should be looking at Wolves players over the last couple of years, and we don't do that. So do I think Manchester United are in for Neto? Well, I can't believe a story that's from the Sun. I can't. I've seen a lot of you in the live comments mention Neto before, and I think he'd be a very interesting target for Manchester United, but I don't believe there's any truth in this story at all. I think as a hypothetical, I'd be very happy to welcome him at Manchester United. He's the sort of player I can see Pep getting in the next 18 months, and he's exactly the sort of player that Pep would go. Mark, where do you think we will be on the table at the end of the season, says Eduardo. I would hope that we'll get second, Eduardo. I mean, they've got no league games now for a few games, have we? But I would hope that Manchester United can get second. We've got Brighton after the break. Then we've got Spurs, and then I think we've got Leeds and Burnley in April. So I would hope that we could take something like 9 points from that and maintain our position. Should Henderson start today, says Zed Jamie? I mean, look, I'm not really bothered. I'll be honest. I'm not these media outlets and ex-players that are obsessed about the Henderson goalkeeper situation. If he puts Henderson in goal today, then he puts Henderson in goal today. Solskjaer, I've given up really analysing what Solskjaer does. He's going to pick McFred today. He may well pick Magloff today. I mean, do I agree with that? No, I don't. Am I going to get stressed about it? No, I'm not, because at the end of the day, we have won our last couple of games, and ultimately they've not been very good games, but we have won, and I think today's a game we need to win. If Solskjaer's got anything about him, he should be putting De Gea in goal today, and he should be putting Eric Bailly at centre back, because David De Gea came into this season as our number one goalkeeper, and he's had to share the role with Dean Henderson. David De Gea has just been back for the birth of his child when he was man of the match against Chelsea. He shouldn't lose his place. I mean, I thought Henderson played quite well against AC Milan, but he cost us a goal in the first leg. So I don't think Henderson's done enough for me yet to take the number one shirt. So De Gea should play in goal, but I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson's in goal today, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's the number one goalkeeper now, because I think Solskjaer would probably bow down to the media pressure, wouldn't he? Because he's trying to keep hold of his job. But for me, I'm not getting involved in it. I like both goalkeepers. I prefer De Gea. I think De Gea should be in goal today. Koulibaly. Let me talk about Koulibaly. Kalidou Koulibaly. Pockets Firmino and Vardy. He's interesting story coming out of Italy. Now, I keep mentioning the Koulibaly story, not because I think United will do anything about it. I think they could do. But I do think that there is something brewing around Koulibaly, because if you look at what's going on in Italy, and this story comes from, I think it's Gazzetta dello Sport, GDS, they're saying that Napoli will listen to offers for Koulibaly considerably lower than the £69 million they've wanted over the last few years. Well, considerably lower than £69 million for me is £50 million. £50 million for Kalidou Koulibaly is a fantastic deal for anybody. I don't care whether it's Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea. I could see Koulibaly at Chelsea, you know. I've always thought that Italy have got a really good connection with Italian teams, and I think that I could see Koulibaly at Chelsea, and I think they could get him for 50 million. To me, Koulibaly is 30 this year. I think he would give you 3, 4, maybe 5 good years in the Premier League, and for £50 million, I think that would be a very, very good deal for Manchester United to do. I would like to see Manchester United go for Koulibaly. I think that what I want from Manchester United, and there's a story in the Manchester Evening News today, actually. I think it's Charlotte Dunker who's wrote it. I saw it on the Twitter page, MUFC MPB, basically saying that United are monitoring Varane, Koundé and David Carmo at Braga. They're the 3 centre-backs that we're monitoring. I look at those 3 and I look at Koulibaly, and I think there's only really Varane that I'd go, yeah, because if you buy Varane, he starts next season. If you buy Koulibaly, he starts next season. If you buy David Carmo, I'm not sure he's going to start next season. You buy Koundé, probably should start next season. I don't want to buy Ben White, I don't want to buy Milenkovic, and I don't want to buy Pau Torres, because I'm pretty confident that next season he'd still go with Magaluf. So I want to buy a centre-back that's going to walk into that team and probably be our best centre-back. And I think if you did buy Koulibaly or Varane, they're better than Maguire, and they would go straight into the team every week, and we would never have to watch Maguire and Lindelof have to play again. So I would love Koulibaly to come. Tyrone Mings probably as well, Nora. So I would love Koulibaly for 50 million. I probably, I know I have said, probably in the last 12 months I've said I wouldn't go nearly Koulibaly because he's like 29 now, we've missed the boat. And I think I've probably put my hands up. I'd probably have to put my hands up and say that, you know, I probably have looked at United over the last couple of years and said that we really shouldn't be looking at players over 28. And I think that's probably because we've had our fingers burnt. Alexis Sanchez was in that category. Schweinsteiger was, 31. Matic, I don't think worked particularly well. I think we brought him in at 28, 29. So I feel that Man United, trying to build for the future, need to buy more players that are, you know, early 20s. But we've done that. We've brought in people like Wan-Bissaka and Eric Bay was at the time, but he was quite a few years ago. Donny van der Beek, obviously. Wan-Bissaka, you know, Diallo's young. I think we do need. I think what we've seen with Bruno is that we do need a few more leaders. And I know, Zane says that Koulibaly's ours, he's never going to Arsenal. I know Harry Maguire is perceived to be a leader, but I think Harry Maguire is becoming a leader on the job. I think, you know, I see all these clips of him shouting and everything, and it's taken over a year for that to start happening. And I'm sure he's going to grow into the mould because he's a good centre-back. And, you know, he's a very respected man at Manchester United, and the players like him and the manager likes him. And there's no doubt that he's improving. But we've basically stuck somebody in as captain and said, go and learn the job. I think with Bruno, you bring in a natural leader. And I think with Koulibaly, you'd bring a natural leader in. And I think United need that. I think Cavani is a leader in the way that he plays the game. It's not always about how vocal you are. You can be a leader in the way that you play. So I think that United, if they can bring leaders in... And look, you know what? People talk about Declan Rice and say, I don't know why you want to bring Declan Rice in. I mean, Jack Grealish is the same. If you bring Grealish or Declan Rice in, they're young lads. Like, you know, I know Grealish is mid-20s, but they're also leaders as well. And I think that United need some of those. So I would like to see that. I would like to see Koulibaly come into the club. But for me, the most important thing with the centre-back is that they have the ability to go straight into the team. And when I say the ability, they're Solskjaer's got to play them. I think if you bring Mings in or White in or Milenkovic in, he could justifiably say, yeah, they're welcome. But you could, I mean, at the end of the day, let's paint a picture. If Eric Bailly is genuinely not happy and he decides he's going to go in the summer and we let Eric Bailly go. If you let Eric Bailly go and you bring Tyrone Mings in, are we in a better situation than we are now? If you let Eric Bailly go and you bring Ben White in, are we in a better situation than we are now? And that's the thing. We need to be in a better situation than we are now. And the only way you're going to do that is buying a better player than what we've got now. If Bailly goes and Varane comes in, we're in a better situation because Varane's better than everything that we've got. And the same with Koulibaly. So I would like to see United bring a player in that walks straight into our first team, because surely that's what it's all about. That's how you improve. I don't think Pep Guardiola says, oh, you know what? I could do with a striker in the summer, but why don't you just get me... let me have a look. Ooh, Callum Wilson, he'd be good. Because he'll score a few goals if I need him. He won't. He'll go and say, get me Erling Haaland. Get me somebody that goes straight into my team. What are you going to do about Jesus and Aguero? Well, I might not keep Aguero anyway, but Jesus, whatever. If you buy somebody who's better than your team, you deal with the problem of how you fit them in. And I think that's how you become winners. Talking of Manchester City, watched them last night. I tell you what, if they win the treble, I'm off. I'm not watching. The Euros can do one. I ain't watching the Euros. I can't. That'll take me months to get over that. And that's the challenge today, by the way. That is the challenge for Manchester United today. They have to produce a result today. I don't want to hear any of this bullshit about, oh, it's 3 games in a week. It's a tough one. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I can think of Axel Tuanzebe, Eric Bailly, David De Gea, Alex Telles, Donny van der Beek. That's 5 players who've not played at all in the last week. That's half a team of internationals. Spain international. All right, Tuanzebe's not. Eric Bailly is. Donny van der Beek is. Alex Telles is. That's 5 players. Nemanja Matic, 6. Martial or Cavani, I think one of them will be back. That's 7. Pogba only played half a game. 8. There's plenty of fit players we can put on that team today. The reason we could make it hard for ourselves is because he's going to go with the same old bloody players, isn't he? That's the risk. He could go with McFred. He could go with Shaw and Wan-Bissaka. He could try and, he could put a bloody robotic ankle on Rashford and send him running out again. Dan James, Mason Greenwood. It will be a hard game for us tonight if we pick the same bloody team as we've picked for the last 2 games. But I don't want to hear anything about fitness. I want, as I said last night, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, his iconic nature, legendary status at Manchester United is based on a goal that won us a treble. Today, we are playing in the last tournament where we can stop Manchester City winning a treble. If we lose today, we can't stop Man City winning the FA Cup. We can't stop them winning the league anyway. We can't stop them winning the Champions League. The FA Cup is the only opportunity we have got to stop Manchester City winning the treble. And we need to go out there with that in our head. I hope that somebody in that Manchester United dressing room today is feeling what you're feeling and what I'm feeling. That this is not just an FA Cup quarter-final. This is Manchester United's history. I think these players are hungry to walk in the footprints of our past great sides. Well, today you can. Today you can create history by getting into the semi-final and staying in a trophy with the sole focus of winning the bloody trophy and stopping Manchester City winning a treble. Now, some people would say that's obsessive. I don't understand what people mean about obsessive. Is football not a competitive sport? Is football not about loving the club that you support? Is football not about remembering and cherishing and holding on to things that make your football club iconic? Manchester United are the most iconic football club in England because, for many reasons, but we also won a treble. It's very difficult to do. Now, I think it's easier to do at the moment, especially when you've got the squad that City have got and there's no fans away from home. But there's still no doubting if they win a treble or a quadruple, it will be celebrated way more than our treble was because it's happened today. And that's the way that modern media works. They'll never shut up about it. So United need to take some fucking pride in what we did in 1999, and these players need to get some passion inside and some ability inside and feel what we feel, that this is not just a quarter. This is not this is not a nice to win because we've won the last 2 and it's a 3rd game in a week. This is a game that is the most important game of the week. This is the game that we must win. This is the game and trophy that we must give absolutely everything for. Because I tell you what, maybe some of these players won't give a shit in the summer if City are there with a quadruple, but the fans will. Anyway, let's see what happens. Mark, everyone raved about Twansebi and Mengi at the start of the season. Do you think we should focus more on CDM, number 9 and right winger, than a centre-back if Twansebi, Mengi, Bay are available, says Chinmay? Well, they've always been available. He just doesn't play them. Tip top for United fans in the transfer market. Have absolutely zero expectations, says... top tip for United fans in the transfer market. Have absolutely zero expectations, says Joshua Bowser. If we win the Europa, will you finally admit Arteta is better than your manager, having won the FA Cup and the Europa League? Says Amy Assey. No. Because I believe, I agree with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think that where you finishing the league is a massive indication of progress. And you might be in double figures again, Zane. Mark, even with only 70 million to spend, we could make great improvements with swap deals like Lingard and Hendo for Rice. Yes, Tomo, we could do. But I have a prediction, which I will repeat from a couple of weeks ago, that I don't think Manchester United want to do swap deals. I think Manchester United won't like swap deals because if I'm the Glazers and somebody pays, say, 50 million for Hendo or De Gea, right? That 50 million comes into the bank and I go to Woodward, give Ollie 30. Well, we sold him for 50. 20 million dividends. You can 18. You can have a couple. I mean, I'm joking about that bit, but that if you get money for a player, we've all played FIFA and Football Manager anyway. We know it happens at other clubs, but at Manchester United, they're not going to go, oh, there's 50 million for you, Ollie. It's going to be, there's 30 million for you. Now, imagine Manchester United swapped, and imagine West Ham were up for it, because they might not be. And Rice, I don't think, would be up for it. I think he wants to go to Chelsea. But imagine Man United gave Jesse Lingard and Dean Henderson to West Ham for Declan Rice, right? On paper, a very good deal for everybody, apart from the Glazers, who go, well, where's my cut? And Woodward goes, well, there isn't any, because they've had Henderson and Lingard, and we've took Declan Rice. It's a fair swap. I know, yeah, but what do we get? Well, nothing. It's just good for the football club. We get a centre defensive midfielder. Jesse's gone, and we've moved a goalkeeper on as well, and we've not spent any money. Yeah, I know. But where's our dividends? Where's our bit? Well, there isn't any. It's just a good footballing deal. What are you doing good football deals for, Ed? Since when is it about good football deals? You know what the focus is at this football club. It's money in our pocket. Cancel the deal, sell Henderson for somewhere else for 30, sell Lingard for 15. I know, but that's only 45 million. We're getting a 60 million pound pay. I don't care. Get the 45 million, give us 15, and Ollie can have 30. Nothing obsessive about being better. We have to go back to where we were. Hope we win both FA Cup and Europa, says Anka. So I don't think that I personally don't think Manchester United will do any swap deals, and it works with Pogba and Ronaldo as well, because again, Woodward could say we've got a swap deal here with Pogba and Ronaldo. What do we get? Well, there's nothing, because Pogba and Ronaldo are around. When you think about everything, it's roughly the same thing. Yeah, but what do we get? No, we've been down this road. You know what to do. Forget the swap deal. Sell Pogba for what you can get and get us some money. So I don't think Manchester United will do swap deals, because swap deals, as Romano said on this show a year ago, swap deals are a very good idea in the COVID world, because you don't have to use money, and people don't have a lot of money, but they do have assets, and the assets are players. We're basically going back to the olden days where people used to trade all around the world. You'd get on a boat and you'd go to India and you'd swap spices for whatever we had over here. I don't know, what did the UK have, or what other countries have? I don't know, cotton or lamb's wool or whatever. You swap, you trade. Whereas nowadays everyone buys it with money, and I think there's not a lot of money in football at the moment, so you trade your assets. And I think it would be a very, very... I mean, look, we've mentioned Martial for Koundé, Sevilla. I think Martial up front in La Liga for Sevilla would do a very good job. But I don't think Manchester United will swap, because there's no money coming into the club for the Glazers to take. So a decent football club will be doing swap deals this summer, but I don't think Manchester United will want to do it, because there's always got to be a take for the owners, hasn't there? I don't think Manchester United can do a transaction without there being a percentage going to the owners. It's probably written into contracts. Our board is not good enough to do swap deals. Let's just hope we get a CDM at least and Ahmed steps up, says Anka. So we'll see what happens on swap deals. Just on the game today, very, very quickly, there is a rumour going around this morning that Ollie is considering putting Pogba and Diallo into the team today. Now, this would probably be because of injury to Rashford. The talk would be that it would be McFred and Bruno in the middle with Pogba off the left and Diallo on the right with Greenwood up front. I mean, straight away, I think this is a little bit like Manchester United are looking at signing Erling Haaland, monitoring FC, thinking about FC. I don't think it will happen. I think we all know that Dan James and Greenwood will start today. Now, I think Dan James is a very lucky boy, really. I think the last 2 games he's been decidedly average, and I know Ricky will get his clips out and show you things about him running up and down and making a tackle and putting a cross in that the striker should get on, even though it's a shit cross and all that sort of stuff. I respect that, but the reality is I think Dan James is a lucky boy because I don't think he's played particularly well. I think he's been a bit like McTominay and Fred, put a shift in but not really played particularly well, but there's nobody else to play, so he'll play James and Greenwood today. Pogba, I mean, to be honest with you, am I supposed to get excited about Paul Pogba playing off the wing? I don't get how Paul Pogba has spent most of his career. He's 28 years of age. He's spent 10 years playing high-end football in the midfield and he is now being put on the wing. And people say, well, it's just because he's coming back from injury. He was playing on the wing before he got injured. He will not break up that Chuckle brother to me to you midfield pivots. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why Paul Pogba cannot play in the midfield, because the sooner we get Pogba in the midfield closer to Bruno, the sooner we'll start creating more chances. We are so much better with Pogba in the midfield, and that's where I want to see Pogba playing. So what I would like to see today is a midfield of Fred, Pogba and Bruno. And I would like to see Diallo on the wing, James and Greenwood. That's what I would like to see. I would like to see Eric Bailly playing at centre-back. I would actually like to see Axel Tuanzebe playing at right-back. And I would like to see Alex Telles playing at left-back, because I think we need to rotate. Donny van der Beek should be involved as well. I'd rather see Donny van der Beek on the right-hand side than Dan James, because you're telling me that Donny van der Beek can't run up and down on the right-hand side. He might not be able to do it as meat fast, but he can do it. And also when he gets the ball, he can pass and move. So we spent 5 years using Juan Mata as a right winger, even though he was slower than a bag of cement. Now, we've got Donny van der Beek, and we've never really tried him on the right-hand side. I'd love to see Van der Beek playing there as well. If Martial or Cavani are fit, you play them up front. We can get quite a fresh team out for this game today. I predict we're going to win 1-0, and I think that we will play a back 6, and I think that's why he's going to play the Chuckle Brothers. But the reality, and I don't know why, I think that Jones and Smalling used to get called the Chuckle Brothers because they were quite calamitous. But everybody knows the Chuckle Brothers, their famous line, rest in peace, one of them, was, to me, to you, to me, to you, to me, to you. And what do we do in our midfield with the ball? Crab FC, Shellfish FC. To me, to you, to me, to you. We'll play a back 6. We won't create many chances, but we'll hopefully keep a clean sheet and we'll nick a goal. That's what I'm predicting today. And I will take that. I will take that and party. I would love that to happen, really. I just want us to win. How fast is a bag of cement, says Paul. Yeah, not particularly fast. I just want to see us with... I mean, I'd love to see Donny van der Beek in the pivot, but I think realistically, I'd love to see the... They sound like a cool band. If we, I'm going to call McFred from now on. McFred to me have been rechristened the Shellfish Chuckle Brothers. Sounds like like the Chemical Brothers who used to do all the music. The Shellfish Chuckle Brothers. Bang! They could release an album. Step to the left, step to the right, sideways. There's loads of songs they could write. Stuck in the Middle with You. Also there's loads of songs. Going Nowhere Fast. That's the name of an album. Shellfish Chuckle Brothers, new album, Going Nowhere Fast. I digress. But no, I really am. I mean, it's again, you're talking about the same thing that we have with Magaluf. It's not about the individual, it's about the pairing. I just can't stand the McFred, the Shellfish Chuckle Brothers pairing. I don't mind Fred. I don't mind McTominay. I like McTominay when he's allowed to go forward. He's just not a CDM. And I like Fred when he's got Pogba next to him. But that's the thing to me. You've got to get Pogba into that midfield and get some creativity, because you will see a totally different Man United side. But it's not the players' fault. It's never the players' fault. They don't pick the team. Who would be your ideal star signing if we could get anyone other than Haaland? Says Eduardo Balanos. Who would be your ideal star signing if we could get anyone other than Haaland? Oh, well, I don't want Haaland, Eduardo. So for me, if I had to make a star signing, I would be over the moon with a top quality centre defensive midfielder. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about this because I don't think we're going to buy one anyway. And can I just say, Garner's doing great things at Forest. I get so many people messaging me, because obviously I know a lot of Forest fans because I grew up with a lot of them. Garner, they don't shut up about him. There's clips about him all the time. The problem is he's playing in the Championship. This is not the Premier League. Even if Ollie says Garner's good enough to be part of the first team next year, which he might do, we're basically being blinkered, because there is no way he will use Garner as a starting player next season. He will just be a smokescreen. Oh, look, we've got Garner, he's ready, and then we don't use him because we haven't done it with Twan Sebi. He won't use him. He'll still be with McFred. So I'm excited about Garner. He does take the ball off the back four and pass forward. He does play 1-2s and drive forward. He's a very, very good player. But I don't think we're going to use him next season, and for that reason, I think we need to buy somebody. And I would say that if we could buy a top-class centre defensive midfielder, I'd be really excited about next season, because I look at a football game like a puzzle. I look at a football team like a puzzle. I don't get the best piece and just put it at the top because the puzzle's not completed. I look at where the holes are, and the holes for me are in that midfield. The reason we're winning so many games 1-0 is because we're playing with a back six and we're not creating chances. We need to win to stop the quadruple, back six and push up Pogba, do damage wondering from the left. What do you think, says Errol? I think that's what he will try and do. In my opinion, if Bay is healthy, I don't think Lindelof should be starting over him, says Rachel. Well, how can you play how can you play Victor Lindelof today? We know he's got a bad back and you're going to play him 3 times in 7 days and then he's off to play with Sweden. Play Eric Bailly today, because then if he gets a twinge, at least he doesn't go on international duty and he has a couple of weeks off. Man City yesterday had £430 million worth of players that they bought on their bench yesterday. Their starting lineup cost them £340 million. That's a total of £775 million. What's your opinion on this? My opinion on this, Peter Eccles, is a video that I did this week on That's Football called Man City is Ruining Football, and that basically answers that. Also, to me, to you, Luke, 82. Yeah. It's hopefully we'll see something a little bit different today, but they're up against a very different Leicester side who've had a week off. I think it will be tough today. It will be tough. On a positive, this talk of Luke Shaw getting a new contract, I don't think anybody can deny that Luke Shaw deserves a new contract at Manchester United. Absolutely 100% he deserves that. And also Cavani, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been talking about Cavani, saying that we're in discussions with Cavani. I think I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but effectively what's happened with Cavani is Manchester United are now looking to buy a striker and have adjusted their summer plans. Their summer plans were a centre-back and a right winger. They are now looking at a centre-back and a striker. Notice the absence of centre defensive midfielder because they're not looking for one. Why? I do not know. But when people say, how can we not be looking for a centre defensive midfielder? How can you think we are looking for one? Look at what we do every game this season in the big games. It's McFred. It's a back six. This is why we're not looking for a centre defensive midfielder, because our coaches are very happy with that back six. We all know that it's why we play boring football, but the coaches, they ain't looking to change that. If you're doing something that works, why would they go, we need to change that? So the reason we're not looking for a centre defensive midfielder is because they're very happy with the setup that they've got. So the plan going into the summer was a centre-back and a right winger. However, the Cavani thing has not gone to plan. When they got Cavani in, they thought 2 years of Cavani. So next summer they'd be looking at a striker, which is when Erling Haaland's release clause came up. So United were probably thinking Cavani goes and we'll try and get Haaland. What's happened is Cavani has not gone the way they expected it to do. He's been more injury prone and he's not settled. In fact, he's probably not happy. So Cavani off in the summer is very likely, which means Manchester United have now got to get a striker, which means now a striker has become a priority, which has mean they've had to adjust their transfer plans. So by buying the wrong striker a year ago, they've now got to get another striker this summer, which wasn't part of the plan. So the transfer plan has adjusted, which is why there's so many talks of Manchester United going for a striker this summer. It wasn't what they wanted to do, but because Cavani's not worked out and is now a doubt, they've now got to go and get a striker. So that's what's happening around Cavani, is that it's not gone to plan. They thought he'd be here for 2 years because the World Cup's next year. He'd want to play in Europe. He's not settled. It's not gone to plan. So now they've got to get another striker. Now, who they're going to go for, I don't know. But they think that they can get Haaland, which obviously I don't think they can. I think it's a load of crap. But yeah, Luke Shaw on a new contract. Definitely worthwhile and well deserved. There are some reports again coming out of Italy about Paul Pogba. I didn't really want to go in on the Pogba story again today because we've spoken about it quite a lot. But talk of Juventus offloading Dybala to allow space for Pogba. They really feel that Pogba wants to go back to Juventus, and obviously they would love to have him there. I mean, we could spend the next 6 weeks talking about Paul Pogba. I think next 2 weeks are going to be really interesting. As soon as he is on international duty and he's in front of a camera, they'll ask him. And I think we'll get an indication. Unless he does something he doesn't normally do and say, no comment, I'm not talking about anything. I'm just focused on France and Manchester United at the moment. But, you know, if in fairness to Pogba and Mino Raiola, if you get asked a question about moving in the summer and you're looking to keep your options open, you're probably going to say, you know what, we'll see what happens in the summer. There's lots of options out there, and we'll take into account what all those options are. So I expect there to be stories about Pogba over the next couple of weeks on the international duty. And I think the three most likely destinations for Pogba are that he goes back to Juventus, Real Madrid, or Man United get him to sign a new contract, which is possible. Mark, will you sell Fred to fund a move for a good CDM like Rice or someone else, says Richard? But who's going to buy Fred? Because it's a serious question. Who would buy Fred and how much money would you get for Fred? I don't think there'd be a massive queue. I think that Southampton would take Fred, and I think that Roma would take Fred, but I don't think they'd want to pay any more than 20 million for him. So we paid 50 million for Fred. So I don't think we can sell Fred. I was having this conversation yesterday about Anthony Martial. Maybe Dybala fit for Pogba would be a good deal potentially. God no, Eduardo. I like Dybala, but God no. That would be a terrible deal for United. I don't want Dybala anywhere near United. Not at all. But 25 million from Newcastle for Fred, says Doobie Guy. But how much do you think Anthony Martial is worth at the moment? Because I had this argument yesterday. I was doing the Man City Everton watch along on That's Football. I had this argument about how much Anthony Martial is worth. And I was getting like loads of people were saying you'd be lucky to get 50 million euros, which is about 43 million quid. And I said, but this is why Man United can't sell Martial. Because a year ago, he was our player of the year, 24. COVID hadn't really hit, and you'd want 80 million for Martial, and you'd be what? Before COVID, Martial a year ago, so COVID only really started a year ago in the UK with the lockdown, literally a year ago. Martial was performing fantastically well. He was going to win Player of the Year, justifiably. He was scoring goals. I mean, it feels a long time ago, but our front three scored 60 goals, Greenwood, Martial and Rashford. I think United could have had 80 million for him. Now, people will go, you're talking nonsense, but that's because you're not putting yourself in the position of a year ago. You're allowing your opinions to be clouded by what it's been like this season, which is not great from Tony. But would you let Martial go for 45 million quid when a year ago he was worth double that? And he's still only 25. So I don't think anybody would give United any more than 50 million for Martial at the moment. But this is just, you know, he was tipping out 80 million a year ago. So, you know, it's. I mean, Hardick says 80 million my arse, but Hardick, you just can't open your mind, mate. You know, you can't open up your mind because I can look at things and go, well, I'm going to take my emotions out of this and look at where we were a year ago. A year ago, Manchester United were in a very good position with our front three, and they were scoring goals for fun. A year ago, we didn't have any of this COVID tax, so Paul Pogba was going to go for a lot of money last year. So I think you could have easily got 80 million for Martial a year ago, but you're not going to get that now. Not going to get that at all now. It's like Theo says, £80 million now sounds absolutely stupid, but you're right about a year. Yeah, but the trouble is, Theo, some people are quite thick. They can't actually compute anything that didn't happen. It's the way the human mind works. Some people can only live in the now. So when I say Martial's worth 80 million, it'll probably get clipped, because people will take it out of context. But he's not worth 80 million now. What I'm saying is Manchester United could not sell him for 40 million when he was worth 80 million a year ago. Now, as I said, people are going to go, oh God, 80 million, you're having a bloody laugh. But I'm like, yeah, if I had a time machine, I'd get you in my DeLorean and I'd take you back and we'd sit down and I'd go, look at how good Martial was a year ago. Loads of people would have wanted him. I know lots of Liverpool and Arsenal fans who over the last 2 years have said, I'd love to take Martial. Yeah, I think he's a top quality player. The trouble is, this season, not many people would take him. I agree. Martial's wages are absolutely huge. 250 grand a week, I think. Yeah. Would you sell Bruno for Sancho and Haaland? I'd never sell Bruno. And do you think if we get a quick chat? David Ward says he wasn't Sterling. Yeah, but you know what as well? You're being a little bit thick here because you're not taking into account. I don't know. I and many other people can quite easily go back to a year ago and remember what it was like. I don't think some people can, and this is why some people can do it and some people can't do it. COVID didn't exist in football a year ago, exactly a year ago. So going into that summer, Harry Kane was probably worth 150 million quid. Spurs might think he's worth 150 million quid now, but no one's going to pay that. The world is a very different world now. Who knows what a player's really worth? Because some clubs like Dortmund refuse to appreciate that the financial markets have changed football. They wanted 100 million euros for Sancho last summer. Well, he wasn't worth 100 million euros because the football market's not like that anymore. But before COVID, then Sancho was probably worth 120 million easy. He's not now. He's probably worth about 70 to 80. And that's nothing to do with him being worse. He's probably a better player than he was then. But yeah, I mean, Mbappe went for Mbappe's probably worth 200 million before all this world. Now he's probably worth 120. It's like it's changed, hasn't it? It's very hard to put a value on a player now, but yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, no club would come forward and say they're going to give us any more than 50 million for Martial at the moment. Whereas I think, as I said, a year ago, he was probably worth 80 million. Maybe a little bit less, but Harry Maguire. The thing is, people in the live comments are actually saying it with their chest. 80 million for Martial, you're having a laugh. So 80 million for Anthony Martial before COVID, when he was our top scorer and one of the best players. He was our best player, won Player of the Year. 80 million for Martial a year after we'd paid 80 million for Maguire. Well, yeah, it's totally unrealistic, isn't it? I don't know what I was taught. I don't know why I was even thinking that an 80 million pound Manchester United striker wouldn't be worth that when we paid 80 million pound for Harry Maguire. Come on, you know the way prices in football were going before this world we live in now. What they are now, God only knows. God only knows what we get paid for now, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know what the value is of anybody, and I think that's the problem, isn't it? If you're buying Koundé, what is he really worth? If Sevilla wants 60 million, is that actually right, or should you be paying 40 million? What's Pogba worth? What is Pogba worth? Is Pogba with 1 year left on his contract? I think he's worth 50, but some people are saying he's only worth 30. And I think the rules of around transfer fees have changed massively, but it's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Ibra says, anything on Amad Diallo for Leicester? There was talk that he might start, but to be honest with you, I think the team today pretty much picks itself. It will be McFred in the midfield. It'll be Bruno ahead of them, Dan James and Greenwood, and then it's who he puts on the left wing. Now, does he get a bionic ankle for Rashford and play him injured? Hopefully not. I don't think Rashford should play at all. Martial might be back. He might play Pogba there. I think the chances of Diallo starting are slim, very slim. And I think he'll play Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka again at fullback, which is ridiculous. And I think that Maguire will play and hopefully Bailly will play. But I don't think we'll see many changes because, as I said, I think Solskjaer's just like that. He's like that. Have you ever been in the car with your mum or dad or somebody, and you're trying to get to your grands, or you're trying to get home from your grands, and the fuel light's on empty, and the passenger's like, we really should stop and get some petrol. I reckon we've got enough to get home. I think we've got enough to get home, and then I'll go and get some in the morning. But what if we haven't got enough to get home, and then what if you haven't got enough to get to the petrol? It's all right. We'll get there. We'll get there. But the petrol station's just there. No. We'll be fine. I can't be arsed. I'll do it later. That's Ollie, because we're all going, you've got Diallo there. You've got Van der Beek. You've got Telles. You've got Twansebi. No, I'm going to stick with what I've got. I think we've got enough to get home. And I think that's what Solskjaer does on a very regular basis. He just wants to get home without changing what he's got. And I don't think he'll make many changes today, to be honest. Rishab says, that was just a hypothetical question. Mark, we won't get anything more than 20 million for Fred, and I wouldn't sell Bruno for both Messi and Ronaldo. Okay. Yeah, we won't sell Fred anyway. Fred's not going to go anywhere, but nobody would sell Fred, would they? I mean, Manchester United won't be selling Fred. That's what I would say. Are you saying that Ollie burns players out, Mark? Says Michael Collins. I think it's very obvious that Solskjaer burns players out. I think it's one thing that he has to improve on, but I don't think he's brave enough to do it. As you know, I think Solskjaer deserves a new contract. I've said let's give him till May all along, and he will get a new contract. But I've also never been somebody who sits here and says that he's the finished product. He's got lots of areas to improve on. And one of them is his squad use. It's not good enough. He does burn players out. Paul Pogba got an injury a year and a half ago against Rochdale because he was played for 90 minutes with a bad ankle. Marcus Rashford got a very bad injury last January because we brought him on with an injury and it got worse. Marcus Rashford is being played at the moment, half fit. The last 2 games he's not fit. There are players who are fit that can play. All right, they're not Marcus Rashford, but I just think it's irresponsible to keep putting players out there who are clearly injured because you don't want to risk trying something else with somebody who's fit. I think he's got a nucleus of favourites that he just doesn't want to change and he wants to stick with. And therefore, people like Telles and Van der Beek and Twansebi and a few others just don't get any game time. So I think he's got to improve on that. Do you think Ollie doesn't want to make changes because he doesn't have enough time to integrate them better due to continuous matches, says Vinnet? I think a lot of other clubs seem to be able to integrate players and make changes, don't they? They all train together. How are they ever? I mean, I suppose if I come on that point, if that's his plan, it's always going to end in disaster. Because you can't just keep playing the same players every game, because they will burn out, and then you'll have to use the players that you don't trust anyway. So surely it's better to integrate them and get them part of it. I don't know. Daley Smith says there'll be an exodus of players as they don't get used. I think there will be a line of players. Maybe not this summer, but certainly the next summer if he doesn't start using them, yeah. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. We are back this afternoon. We're going to be live at 3:30 because it's a 5 o'clock kickoff. So 3:30 this afternoon we'll be live with the watch along. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe bottom right hand corner. You're all very, very welcome for watching and tuning in. I will see you this afternoon. Massive game. No messing about. Massive game. Really looking forward to it. And I shall see you this afternoon for it. This is big. In many ways, I feel that this is definitely bigger than West Ham last week because in the league, I think there was always an opportunity in April to win games and still keep top 4. If we lose today, we're going to be sat here for the next 2 months hoping somebody else knocks Man City out of something. We need to take control of that today. I'll speak to you later. Thanks for watching.